Welcome back to the Ace Your Retirement Show. I'm Alex Calott.
And I'm Austin Powell.
We are thrilled to be with you today because today's fun. We get to talk about the day after retirement.
What an exciting time. And you know, from feedback that we've gotten from many of you over the years, you've worked for 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah. And it's been all about accumulation and hard work. And then you make that transition and it's retirement time. And that can be a difficult transition.
For sure.
It can be difficult because mentally there's some things you got to wrap your head around from a financial standpoint, but then just the lifestyle in general. In today's show, we're going to walk you through a 4-step checklist on what happens the day you retire.
So step number 1, we got to build a retirement income system.
Yeah.
We were so used to paychecks coming in. We were so used to consistency every 2 weeks or twice a month, whatever the cadence may have been, that now all of a sudden we've got to replenish and replace some of those underlying paychecks. So what are some of the key ingredients to really a successful retirement income strategy?
Well, it's going to be coordinating all of those sources that are very common. It's going to be your Social Security. It's going to be your pension. If you have a rental income, that'll absolutely be a part of the mix. And then it's going to be just your general savings that you have accumulated. And when it comes to those 401k accounts, I think mentally, because we've been in so much of a contribution mode, when it comes to pulling those resources out, it can be uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
But what we always encourage families to do is not look at your 401k as a museum exhibit. It's not just there to look at each and every month. You actually have to use it. That's what it's there for, Alex.
Well, and in some cases, if we don't use it, we get forced to with required minimum distribution. So be proactive. That's what you've saved for. That's really a big part of this journey, and it's exciting. While difficult at times, it's very much exciting.
The last thing I'll mention on checklist item number 1 is that planning for the income system. It starts years before you actually retire. Sure. But when you retire, that's when you officially activate that income plan that you've been building for years.
No question. You can't go wrong being proactive. So on that note, one of the things that we really like to focus on in step 2 would be first evaluating Social Security and Medicare. I think for a number of reasons. Number 1, Social Security, oftentimes your number 1 source of fixed income or your largest fixed income source in retirement. And then on the Medicare front, just the uncertainty surrounding that shift from employer coverage to now, hey, we never want there to be a lapse in coverage. We want to make sure that we've got our health insurance piece kind of taken care of. So speak to that.
Social Security and Medicare are the foundation to a really solid retirement. And the Social Security plan, much like step number 1 that we talked about, is going to be in the works years before you actually retire.
No question.
There is an earnings limit on Social Security. In 2026, it's $24,480. If you make above and beyond that, you're really not considering filing for Social Security while you're working anyway. You're likely going to align that with your retirement or even later. But when you do reach retirement, and if it is your intention to turn on your Social Security at that point, you're going to want to put your application in 3 months in advance. And whatever you declare as your effective month of filing, just know that Social Security always pays out 1 month late. They're going to give you your payment the month after you declare your effective date. And then from a Medicare perspective, you don't technically have to enroll in Medicare at age 65 as long as you have credible coverage. So a lot of folks have the misconception that, if you don't enroll at 65, you're going to start accumulating a penalty. That penalty doesn't apply, but you just have to be enrolled in your group health plan. When you come off of that group health plan, you're going to immediately need to get enrolled in Medicare and also potentially acquire a supplement and things of that nature. No penalties as long as you follow that process.
Understood. So proactively planning for Social Security, coordinating spousal benefits, understanding just how that's going to fit into the total retirement income picture, and then based on your retirement timeline, whether it be before or after 65, making sure that Medicare is firing on all cylinders. The good news is we've got an in-house team to help take care of that. So if you have questions, please let us know. Once we've got a true retirement income system, we've checked the Social Security box. We know what we're going to do from a health insurance perspective. We got to start looking for some tax planning opportunities. So from a tax planning perspective, it's not just withdrawal order. It's not just strategic Roth conversions, but it's really a combination of a number of things. Just speak to 1 or 2 of those.
So what we often see, especially here in the Carolinas, is that at the end of your working career, it might have been some of your highest earning years. And then when you retire and you no longer have the paycheck coming in, a lot of times we see you step down into a lower tax bracket. And with that lower tax bracket, there are some opportunities to be had. One of those opportunities is a Roth conversion.
Yeah.
Roth conversion is the process of taking from a pre-tax retirement account balance and moving it into a Roth that grows tax-free forever and doesn't have required minimum distributions.
Oh, yeah.
Required minimum distributions is when the IRS forces you to start taking money out of your pre-tax retirement account balance. So taking advantage of the lower tax bracket, I think, is probably one of the flagship areas to focus on.
No question. And then again, coordinating that with the withdrawal order to drive that tax rate down is going to be absolutely critical. QCDs, we would never, tell you how to spend your resources, but for those of us that are charitable inclined, that QCD is an excellent way to donate pre-tax resources and also satisfy required minimum distributions. So, number of levers that can be used and adjusted. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. It's something we want to prioritize each and every year. When it comes to tax planning, we'll leave you with this. You have two options. Number one, reactive. You let Uncle Sam kind of dictate when and how your retirement accounts are taxed. Or number two, proactive. You get ahead of the curve, you take advantage of more favorable tax rates, and oftentimes we find that's the most successful way to go about it. If we've got a great tax plan, Austin, we know where our income is going to be generated. We know how we're going to go about it. Number four is the fun part. How are we going to spend our days? While it is number 4 on our list, it might be a number 1 priority. Share more with us about it.
It absolutely is, because what we have found is a lot of times folks will get into retirement 3-4 months in, and they'll come off that initial high and they'll realize, you know what? I miss a little bit of structure.
Sure.
I miss a little bit of routine. Over the last decade, what we have noticed more than anything is that a lot of times folks are getting back into some part-time work, not necessarily for the financial benefits of doing it, but just because of the routine and the daily structure.
Some of the interaction too.
The interaction. But I think more than anything, when it comes to retirement, we mentioned this and highlighted it in our newsletter earlier this year. It is so important to make a plan.
You bet.
Tell us a little bit about making a plan in retirement, Alex.
Yeah, so whether it's planning to visit an apple orchard in the fall, going for hot chocolate in December, or having time to spend some time in the Greenway during the spring, just having a plan, even if it's day trips or some of these little events that ultimately add up, we find that planning process, as important as it is to your income stream, your Social Security, your health care, it's just as important in your daily routine. Focus on your hobbies, your sports, the things you love, and ultimately it's going to lead to great retirement. One thing I do want to mention on that front, we very much believe in community interaction, giving back to a certain extent, and we're always as a team finding ways to be active in the community. So if volunteering is important to you, let us know about it, because it's not uncommon that you'll see us out there and we'd love to include you in some of those activities if it's something that you'd have interest in. So please let us know. Having a plan, enjoying retirement is really what it's all about, Austin. If you do these 4 things, you're probably going to be in a pretty good spot.
I think absolutely you are. So we've laid out the 4 benchmarks, but as Alex just alluded to, the number 1 thing is enjoy it.
That's right.
Because you deserve it.
You did. You worked hard for a long time. Enjoy the ride. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Ace Your Retirement Show. We very much look forward to seeing you next time.